welcome to day 4 of my 12 days of DIY gift ideas. I'm Anna. Today we are making the most adorable little gift set, and I think you're going to love it. Let's take a look at it. So take a look at this gift set. It is made to hold a bath bomb, a small bottle of lotion, and my sample has a lip mask, but a facial mask would work perfectly in these as well. Aren't these adorable? I just think these are so fun for anyone on your list who needs a little pampering, and let's admit it, that's pretty much all of us. So yeah, I'll show you here in just a second how to make these. Now, real quick, today's day 4 of my DIY gift ideas. Let me show you quickly the ideas from day 1, 2, and 3 in case you happen to miss them. Here is a really handy purse organizer that has a calendar, little pocket inside to organize paper clips, postage stamps, small things, and a nice notepad. It also holds a pen inside. Day 2 was this cute little gift bag that holds lip balm, or you could put a lot of other small gifts in these as well. And I showed how to make a larger bottle for one of the bottles of lotion, like what I'm using today. And then day 3 was these cute little either ornaments or lanterns and decorations, depending on how you want to make them. So yeah, take a look at those if you haven't seen them already. Now let's get started with today's project, our bath bomb set. And let me tell you what we need. We need a piece of cardstock that measures 6.5 by 7 3/4. We need another piece of cardstock that measures 5.5 by 10.5. Then we need a few pieces of designer paper. They measure 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. We need 2 that measure 2.5 by 5, and then 1 that measures 1/2 inch by 4 3/4. Now, if your paper has a directional print, like a top and a bottom, make sure when you're cutting these that you cut them the right way so that the print is going to be up and not turned sideways. First, let's prepare these pieces of cardstock. We're going to need to do a little bit of scoring. So you'll either need a scoring board or the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. Sometimes I do scoring with a trimmer, but I absolutely love my scoring board, so that's what I typically use. Let's do the 5.5 by 10.5 piece first. And this one just needs 2 score marks. You need to score at 2 3/4 and 7 3/4. And we'll set that one aside for a second. Then on this other one, let's turn it so that the 7 3/4 side is at the top. And we need to score at 3/4 inch, 3.5, 4 1/4, and 7. Now turn this 90 degrees, and we need to score again at 3/4 inch and 5 3/4. Perfect. Now we need to do a little bit of trimming. Now I am going to bring in my trimmer. And we need the 5.5 by 10.5 piece. Now I have already done this, but what you need to do is on 2 of the edges, on the short edges, you need to measure 3/4 inch from a corner. And then up here at the top, same thing, 3/4 inch from the corner. So here's what we need to do with that. I need to line up that mark with the cutting track on my trimmer. And I am going to cut from that mark to the top of this score line. So I need this score line lined up in that cutting groove, and that mark I made up here lined up in the same spot, okay? Get my scoring blade out of the way and make that cut right there. Okay, and then I need to do the same thing over here. I need to line up the score line here and that mark I made at the other end. Okay, so that's what I need to do on this one. Now I also need to cut a couple of the pieces of designer paper. And they are the ones that measure 2.5 by 5 inches. And we need to make a mark on this one that is 5/8 of an inch from one edge, okay? So we're on the long edge, make one mark that is 5/8 of an inch from one of the corners. Now you can do these individually. If you want to mark one on this other piece as well, you can, but I'm going to show you a trick for being able to cut them at the same time. So I have my mark on the back side, the side that's going to be hidden. So I want my right sides of my paper facing each other and the wrong sides are facing outwards, okay? So as long as you do this and keep them lined up nicely, you can cut them at the same time. It's totally up to you if you want to cut them individually. So I'm lining up that mark at the bottom in the groove and then the corner of the paper at the top. Now, before I ever move anything, I like to pull these out and make sure everything got cut off when I'm doing multiple pieces at once. And they did get cut off, so we can pull them out. And here is what's important. If you do mark your papers individually and cut them one at a time, just make sure you're doing opposites because you need them to look like this, not like this with the same angle. Okay, let's bring in our main piece. This is going to be the base that holds the bath bomb and the lotion. So we have our scoring done. We will fold these, do a little cutting, but one of the most important parts of this is the holes that we need to cut out to hold the bath bomb and the lotion bottle. So you can do this with dies. These are my layering circles dies, and you need the ones that measure 2 1/4 inches and 1.5 inches. Now, if you happen to have circle punches, I'm going to show you a way to do it that can go a little bit quicker. And to do this, you're going to need to fold these edges in. And now we're going to line the punch up in one of these wide sections. Right now we don't really know which one's the top and which one's the bottom, so it doesn't matter which one. And I'm going to line up the sides of my punch with those score lines to try and make sure that my punch is centered. And just kind of judge how far you are from the edge. You don't want it to be right at the edge, but you don't want to be real far from the edge either, to leave space for the lotion bottle. So punch that out. And you'll get a little bit cut out from this flap. That's okay. It won't show at the end. And then we'll do the same thing with the 1.5 inch circle. And I'm trying to get my spacing right. If you want, you can measure, figure out where the centers of these circles should be and actually make a mark. But I have found that just eyeballing it works pretty well, okay? So now we have our circles cut out. The next thing I want to do is just fold on all of these lines and get these score lines loosened up. You can use your bone folder if you want to get them nice and sharp. And we need to do some snipping. So on this edge, we are going to snip on all 4 of those score lines up until we get to that horizontal score line. We'll flip it around, do the same thing on this side. And now we are ready to start putting this together. So I'm going to use 2 adhesives for this. I'm going to use my Seal Plus and my Tear and Tape. You want to make sure you use some really strong adhesives when you're making 3D projects such as these. So what I'm doing first, I am going to take, I'm glad I thought about that for half a second. I'm going to take this flap over here, so the one on the opposite edge from where the circles are punched, and run. I'm using Seal Plus just because it's a little bit faster than the Tear and Tape. Run it all along this edge on the back side of that flap, okay? Then we can fold this up, and we're going to fold on the score line right beside the circles. And if I fold right there and bring this down directly on top, it should line up perfectly. So I give it a good press, and now we already have our box coming together. So now what I want to do is I am going to lift these flaps out of the way, the top one and the two side ones, and I'm going to put some adhesive onto the bottom flap, the top part of the bottom flap. Now I'm going to fold in the sides, fold in the top one, and fold that bottom one up and press that together. Now to make sure it's nice and adhered, I'm going to stick my thumb down in there, and I can pinch that with my finger to make sure that is attached together really well. Do the same thing over here. We'll fold that top one out of the way and the side ones out of the way. You can definitely do this with tear and tape. If you have a hard time running your seal along there, you can definitely do this with tear and tape as well. So we'll fold the sides in, fold that top one in, and then fold the bottom one up. So this will cover up those the flaps where the circles had been cut out. This covers them up, so you won't see that anymore. So here you can see that our lotion bottle and the bath bomb fit in there perfectly. Now, if you have, you may want to test out with your circle punches to see if you pick up lotion bottles and bath bombs, make sure they fit, because they could be a different size than the ones that I have, but test that out. I think these should work for most of them. Okay, so now that we have that put together, let's do the top piece. And what we'll do for this one is we do need to loosen up our score lines. And get our designer paper attached. So I'm going to attach the designer paper to this side. So your angled pieces will attach to one side, and then the big piece for the center is actually going to attach to the opposite side of the paper. So I'll show that here in just a second. So I am using Seal Plus here. I used regular seal for the other ones that I've already created, which I think will hold really well. But I just have my Seal Plus here at the moment, so I'll use it. If you find that you like to have some wiggle room when you attach pieces like this, you may even want to use some multi-purpose glue so that you can lay it down and then move it just a touch to get it centered. Now I can tell that I can see my pencil lines down here. So after I'm done, I'll go back and I'll erase those. Okay, so I have my angled pieces on. I want to flip this over and attach this piece in the top part of this. Down here at the bottom won't show, so we will never know that we cut that a little bit short. Okay, so we'll attach that right there. Now we are ready to attach this piece to our base. This is where it gets exciting because it starts to come together. You need some strong adhesive all along the bottom side of this. I am going to use seal on these flaps just because it's a little bit faster. And then I am going to use my tear and tape in the center, mainly because I want something that's really thin and not going to take up much space. And the reason for that is because our lip mask or the face mask is going to slide down in this little pocket, which you'll understand more here in a second. And I want to leave plenty of space for it. So I put that tear and tape right along that bottom edge. Okay, now I made all of mine with the bath bomb on the left side. That does not matter whatsoever, so you can put whichever side you want on the left, or whichever circle. So I'm gonna line this up with the base and centered in these score lines. And once I have that in place, I am going to put my finger in here and give that a good press. I apologize, my camera will probably lose focus here for part of this. Then I'm gonna fold this side up, and I can reach down in there and give that a good press. And then I'll fold this side in as well. So here is our box. Isn't that cool? I just love this. I found these sets of the lotion, bath bombs, and lip masks at the dollar store, clearance last year. And I wanted to make up these cute sets, but I had never seen anything like this. But I was really excited to find a way to make them all fit into this cute little caddy. So I put some adhesive onto this thin strip, our last piece of designer paper. We'll attach that to the front. Now let's put our goodies in here. And the mask, maybe I should have done this one first, but this just slides down right there in the back. And sometimes, because it's not quite flat, I have to give it a little encouragement to get it to slide in there. But if you find that you put this in here and it wants to fall forward, just add a little dot of adhesive behind it and that will hold it in place. Now, one last thing to finish it off. I did make some really cute tags for these. So I want to use a hole punch to punch a hole up here where we can tie our tag on. I'll explain how I did this real quick. I used the Essential Tag Punch for this back piece, and I'm going to try to get you to be able to appreciate the glimmer on this pink vellum that's in the background. It is absolutely beautiful. This is some of our In Color Shimmer Vellum that I punched that tag out of. Then I stamped this with the Perfectly Plaid stamp set. This is a favorite of mine. I have used this set possibly more than, I'm going to say 98% of stamp sets I've ever had in my collection, along with the Pine Tree Punch. So it's just a really quick and easy way to make cute things for tags or cards. So I stamped the Ho 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 to put on top and added some of our In Color jewels. We do need a little bit of ribbon here. This is about 7 inches of our metallic mesh ribbon, and I find that I use this all the time. So I want to fold that in half, ball it up on the one end, and I want to put it through this tag from front to back. And then I need to do the same thing on the little caddy. Push it through that hole from the front to the back. Once I get it through, I need to open it up and find the center of that loop right here where my finger is. So now I want to take these ends that are still in the front and put them through, pull them through that hole. Okay, so they're in my left hand here. Now I'm going to pull that extra back out through the front and pull up on those ends. And you may have a little bit extra there. You may want to trim it off, but that is it. We have this cute caddy for some nice pampering essentials for your loved ones. These would be great for teachers. I mean, anybody, coworkers, all sorts of people. So I hope you enjoyed this project. Thanks so much for watching along. You can find links to all the products I used in the video description below. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.